everybody want a plate, want a seat at the table, want to act like they grateful. Don't mess with outsiders, y'all looking real unstable. If anything, they should ask me how I do it. Start taking notes, recording my every move, and I know that I'm the best and I ain't gotta.
That's the sad thing, because we wasn't ready for it.
He wasn't ready. Well, what's up, everybody? Welcome to KB's Community. I got my buttons. I love my buttons. I'm here today with artist Dak Dubois. I said that right?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay,
for sure. Yeah.
We're gonna clap for you.
Oh,
You get clapped.
sweet. Yeah.
Thank you for coming today. I'm super excited to sit down and get to talk to you. So I think I only met you probably about a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
You were doing a show at, where was it?
Linneman's, yeah.
With
yeah.
Wave Chappelle and some other people.
Yeah.
And you were just really dope. I really enjoyed like your guitar.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Thanks,
that was fire.
Yeah.
So, can you please tell everybody just a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. I'm almost 30, but I've been playing music, especially guitar, since I was like 11 years old. So almost my whole life, I feel like I've had my fingers attached to the strings. Yeah, I'm a composer. I create beats for people. I have like collaborative projects that are out, and then one more that's coming out, where I'm working with artists like Wave Chappelle, Aya. I have my homie brother Malik does a lot of stuff with me too. He's a really good artist too. And then on all these projects, I like do all of the instrumental parts. So I'm playing like a real drum set, putting in real keys, playing, bass and everything too. Yeah.
I love to hear live music just because it's becoming less and less common.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love live bands.
Yeah.
And like live recording, you're saying for
sure,
producing and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I do a lot of like really cool like recording techniques that were really common in like the 1970s.
Okay.
So you'll kind of pick up a little bit of that like old kind of retro sound to it.
I've noticed.
Hell yeah.
I love that. That
yeah.
is one of the things I do love as well, because I just feel like there was something about like 70s, like almost, it's like a funk almost in a way.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So where are you from originally?
Yeah.
And what brought you to Milwaukee?
Well, I'm originally from Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I moved up to like Appleton, which is like a half hour north of there when I was like 19, 20. Then I lived there for pretty much like 7-8 years. I moved down here actually because I would go to a lot of like open jams at Dino's in River West when it was still open for that small window of time. And I really liked just the inclusivity of the scene here and how willing all the people were to like just jam with each other and, create on the fly and stuff. And I was always kind of looking for that up north, but it's a little bit more rigid up there.
Okay.
It's not as diverse at all. And then it's just a lot of tired mindedness up there, like nobody's looking to create anything new. It's just all about clinging on to the past.
That's a lot of small towns
for sure. Yeah. I mean, the nice thing is they have quick trips up there and we don't have them in the city here, but that's like the only thing.
There's no quick trips in the city?
There's no quick trips in the city.
You mean
Milwaukee.
in the city?
In the city. You gotta go out to the burbs.
Like the outskirts.
Yeah.
There's some quick trips.
Yeah,
okay,
for sure. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like in the city, listen, sometimes I want a breakfast sandwich at 3 p.m. and not be judged for it. So not having
you're
a
not
quick
driving 15-20 minutes for it.
Hell no. No way. No. I thrift a lot. So like if I thrift, I'll go and thrift out in the suburbs and stuff. And then I usually always stop at a quick trip a few times and get breakfast sandwiches late in the day. So
okay. Yeah, understandable.
But yeah, no, it's great to be down here, and I moved down here for the music scene and a lot of the collaboration and stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've only been living here for about a year and a half, and I just kind of started doing like the whole Dak Dubois thing about 9 months ago, where I like launched it. So
really,
yeah, so it's been I've been received really well, and people have been just really great, and super welcoming and really chill about stuff. So
yeah. So did you go by a different name before, or you just didn't release music before?
So I played in a lot of jam bands.
Okay.
I was like a jam band guy for a long time. And so we'd play a lot of different kind of like, mixed genre stuff. It'd be a lot of like 15-20 minute versions of songs and stuff like that. And then I'd also this is wild too, but I would get commissioned a lot to go and play like country western guitar. Definitely not my favorite music by any means, but when you know how to do something and they pay well, you kind of go and do it. So, but yeah, I had never really sang or anything like that. You know, I kind of messed around on other instruments, but when I moved down here, I was like, oh, cool. This is kind of like wiping the slate clean and getting to start over, you know? And yeah, it was nice to get to do that and really like just go for it, you know, and just like try to do whatever. And like, I'm not really, you know, trying to make, I'm not trying to make fans or anything. I'm just trying to make music that I think's cool.
Yeah.
And I think people are liking it. So that's pretty sick.
Yeah.
So
I feel like that's the best way to make music, not for other people, but make it for yourself. And then I feel like it's better received anyway, because it feels more authentic. For sure. Yeah. So how did you start meeting all of the other artists that you've been working with? Yeah. So it's kind of crazy. I met Classic, who was on the first EP, through my homie brother Malik. Brother Malik and I worked together, so he was kind of my introduction to the city. Neither one of us work at that job anymore, but it was just really cool to get to, you know, we made really good friends with each other, and we have a really good, you know, relationship and rapport. And he's really good friends with Classic. Yada yada yada. You know, obviously we all eventually started hanging out and having a good time, and everybody's really talented. And we're like, anytime we'd mess around just talking about music, it would just be, it was just a great conversation. So it was really cool to get Classic on that. And then as far as Wave, I do a lot of work with Wave Chappelle too. He actually, his manager reached out to me on Instagram about booking me for a show. And we did that, and we were shooting content for the show that we had booked at the Cooperage back in November. And we did like the Chappelle Show intro kind of thing. And I just brought my acoustic guitar and just kind of like, you know, was licking it, like just playing licks and stuff. And he was like, that's dope. He hit me up the next day. He's like, hey man, I have a show tonight. Do you want to come and play for it? And I like had not looked over any of his stuff, and I just kind of on the fly went and did it. And it was awesome. It was sick. And Wave and I get along really well. I really like getting to play music with him too. He's just like such a wholesome guy, and he's always present in conversation. So it's cool to get to, you know, share that same kind of rapport. And then everybody else that I've gotten to meet has just been from, you know, having mutuals now at this point. Right. And, you know, just kind of everybody meeting everybody. So I'm really glad that I've, you know, gotten to talk to so many people and make so many great friendships with people. I love to hear that. I really love to hear that the city has been open to accepting you, and not only accepting you, but supporting as well. Yeah. You've had a decent amount of shows lately, right? Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Where have you had shows at so far? Yeah. So I just last week I did a show at Radio Milwaukee. They like revamped their State of Sound, and that was a really cool experience. Sleepy Gaucho opened, and then Scam Likely played, and then me and my band, and then Wave like capped the night off, and we did full band with Wave too. And we it was just a great time. There's a lot of people out, and you know, just really good vibes and stuff in general. Like it felt like everybody was super wholesome. The green room experience was awesome. The people at Radio Milwaukee are really hospitable. They are. Yeah, and just they're all really nice people. And it was cool to get to do that, and you know, to have like almost 200 people there too is pretty crazy. So it was great. That's 200 people. Yeah. And I'm thinking about that space. It must have been pretty packed. It was packed. It's not like the largest space. No, so, it was packed. Wow, that's really cool. For sure. I'm sure it made for like good pictures and content as well. For sure. Yeah. I had there's quite a few photographers there, so it's cool to kind of, even like yesterday, one of the photographers was sending me some of the links and stuff, and I was looking through it, and I'm like, oh man, all these photographers that pulled up to this event like really were in their bag too. Like the lights look great. They did a really good job of like capturing the overall essence of the show too, and it was such a cool show. I know I looked at your pictures and I was like, wow, those are really good. Oh, for sure. Like to the point where I clicked on the person you tagged, the Jen photographer. Ellis? Yeah, she did a great job. She works for Radio Milwaukee too. She's the one who did the show poster for that too. Jen Ellis is like super creative and really good at what she does. She has like a great eye for design and photography. And I know she's trying to get more people or more like gigs and stuff to do concert photography. So shout out Jen Ellis, you know. Good to know. Yeah. All right. I might have to follow her. Hell yeah. Yeah. Keep her in my pocket. Cool. Yeah. Something. Yeah. No, you got it. You know? Yeah. Hell yeah. What has been your favorite part of your experience as an artist so far? And then what's also been your greatest challenge? Oh, cool. Yes. Yeah. Of course. So you got to have both sides of the coin on the question.
I think the greatest moment, or the thing that feels the best, is I didn't really know like what kind of a band I was gonna be putting together or anything like that. I met my bassist Michael Sambar before I had started launching the Dak Dubois thing, and he still is playing drums in another band too, so he's a multi-instrumentalist. I think my favorite thing has just been building a band. Like, I feel like no matter who I have in the band that night, everybody's really friendly, just really good to each other, and super talented too. Like, it's the communication. We don't really have to communicate anything musically. Like, everybody's just on the same page, and I think
that's always a good thing.
For sure. I think playing for so many years too, like, maybe not at the same level as I am now. Like, I remember how frustrating it would be at times to try to like convey like, just the overall energy of the song or whatever. And that frustration would kind of get to me sometimes when I was younger. Things that I've, gotten just really good at handling now. I don't even think about it at all. I just kind of let everybody cook, and everybody's great at what they do. But yeah, the most frustrating thing I think about playing in like Milwaukee so far since I've come is probably, I don't know. I feel like there are like a few clicks here and there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there is.
That makes me sad you started picking up on it already.
For sure.
I wanted you to have rose-colored glasses for as long as possible.
No. I mean, listen, people are people no matter what.
Yeah.
Like, clicks happen everywhere. It's just maybe I romanticize like what the city would be too sometimes. Yeah. Not that it like usually really affects me, but I kind of notice it here and there. Mm-hmm. Especially more with like the suburban scene too, like I don't really feel like I fit in. Really? At all. Yeah. So
have you networked within the suburban scene at all?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. And what is the difference that you're like, no, this isn't for me?
I don't know. I think there's a bit more pretentiousness, and there doesn't need to be, because I don't think it's a better scene at all. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, I think the better talent is in the city here itself. And I think I'm not trying to like talk too much smack here or anything like that and get myself in trouble, but that's just my observation.
Yeah.
I'm pretty in tune with stuff, and I don't usually get caught up in delusions. So just kind of seeing things from that limelight too. Right. It's just a lot of kind of fakeness too. So yeah.
Okay, I get it. Yeah. I get it. And I didn't do music in the suburban scene, but I grew up in the suburbs.
Word.
Like I grew up in Menominee Falls for the time that I lived in Wisconsin.
Hell yeah.
So I see some of that just within the community itself. So yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah, it gives me a lot of the same energy that I would get up north when I was living up there too. But yeah, I think like being in the city proper here is pretty amazing. And I've done some stuff in Chicago, and Chicago's scene seems really supportive too, just like us, and yeah, and it's crazy to see how much talent there is in Chicago, but then like stacking it up side by side, man, Milwaukee's got to run for their money too, and we're like way smaller, and it's crazy to see how much talent there is here, like genre aside and everything. Like it's really crazy how talented really everyone is.
It is. That's something I've noticed myself as well. It's just a very creative city for some reason. Not just musicians, but there's like some of everybody who's really great at what they do.
For sure. So, I feel like every medium has so many like amazing properties to it as far as art's concerned. And it's great to see that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you weren't doing music, is there something else that you think you would have picked up?
Yeah, I always liked writing a lot. I love poetry. I had in high school, I had this creative writing teacher. Well, she first was like English 3. So like my junior year, she was my English teacher, but she taught creative writing too. And I think poetry really interested me a lot, especially when I was younger. And now, I mean, even as a songwriter, it's like crazy how all of these things that I learned when I was 16, 17 years old are like, there's still skills that I have to like constantly brush up on, and and constantly remember the things that I learned in this class. But I feel like, I'd probably be more like poetry first. Not like a crazy painter or drawer or anything like that. I kind of suck at that.
Yeah, me too. That's something I wish I could do.
Yeah, I don't have an eye for it at all. I like I can appreciate it. I love colors and everything too. But yeah, I feel like as far as like actually doing like physical art, I suck at it.
Yeah.
So.
I feel you. You're not alone in
Yeah.
that. So
cool.
You recently got engaged, huh?
Yeah, I did.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thanks. I appreciate that.
What was that, like a week or two ago?
Yeah, it was a couple weeks ago now. I don't remember the exact date, but it was a couple weeks ago for sure. Yeah, my partner Nora and I, we've been together for like a little over about 3 years now. And it's really wild, just kind of us growing with each other and going through so many things and seeing life change, because we met, in our like late mid-20s, and now we're both like coming up on 30, and just to, that's, you have like your most personal growth in this time span, so it's just really cool to see how we've both grown as people, and it's like just further strengthened our bond. It hasn't like gotten worse. So
yeah, that's a beautiful thing, to be able to grow together
for
and
sure,
to kind of see people where they were 3 years ago and now, and especially like you said, at that age where it's like from mid-20s to 30, I can tell you definitely change a lot.
Yeah for sure. I think you stop becoming so obsessed with your insecurities too.
Oh, definitely.
Because I mean, we can all be insecure. It's super easy to be insecure, but I think like being aware of where they root from and why your insecurities are coming out in whatever light it is super important, because that's like kind of what blocks out toxicity,
Exactly.
It's just like being straightforward and being, talking about whatever. Like sometimes there are some uncomfortable things you have to talk about, but if you like let it linger, it just gets worse.
It does, right? And then you let resentment get in there.
Totally.
And you form the whole story yourself instead of just talking to the person.
For sure.
I know from personal experience.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We both
right.
We both grew up like really poor too. Our parents were really young, so I think like the trauma of like what the generational curse is and how that kind of like sits over our heads too. It's really important to try to break those generational curses, because it does feel like a lot of the time, like, we're constantly getting the same shaft that we saw our parents and our grandparents get, and whatever, may happen. But yeah, I mean, that's obviously coming from a place of, privilege too. I can obviously recognize that within who I am, but yeah, no, I think like just trying to get over those, it all comes from your communication skills with your partner, and honestly, anybody that's in your life too. Like, you don't want to be like hiding stuff or lying or not being like, not keeping it 100% with people too.
Right.
So,
right. Your adult relationships will definitely in some way trigger your childhood traumas, and that's not necessarily a bad thing.
No.
It's not, because I mean, it just happens because these are the closest relationships that we've had since like our parents. And so, yeah, it's like we will repeat cycles until we unlearn certain things and relearn.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Not doing the same stuff that our parents did is really important.
Yeah.
Do you have siblings too?
One.
You have one sibling?
Older sister. Only by like 2 years.
Word. Do you feel like she does a pretty good job recognizing that too, and not falling into the same kind of patterns that?
No.
I mean, I'm not trying to put your family on blast or anything.
Honestly,
I'm sorry,
I feel like I don't know if they even watch this, but I feel like I am the generational curse breaker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like, I feel like I think a lot differently.
Yeah.
Than my family, and there's just things that we don't see eye to eye on.
Yeah.
My sister, I feel like there's some things that we can agree on, but there's still other things that she's like, still following.
Yeah.
No,
I feel that. I'm the youngest of 3 as well, and I feel like almost kind of like there was a little bit of blanketing being a younger sibling too. I don't know if you feel the same way or what your family dynamic was at all, and I don't mean to like push on that.
No, you can get into it.
But because of that,
this is a safe space.
Yeah. My middle sister, she, I love her to death, but she kind of has fallen into like the exact same things that like, we were raised on, and it's kind of crazy too, because like you can't really have that conversation, because she's 33 or 30. Yeah, she's 32.
Oh, it's my sister's age.
Yeah. And I'm 30, and I'm like, I don't have 4 kids, so I can't like be like, hey, like you're not, you're kind of doing the same shit that our parents did to us. And then like yeah, it's a hard conversation to have. I kind of just avoid it. But I feel like being the younger sibling,
Sometimes
it's kind of
that's
easy
the best
to.
thing to keep the peace, honestly.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, because you just have to accept that you're not going to see eye to eye all the time.
Yeah. Especially like spiritually too, you know.
Exactly.
It's hard to show somebody the same mindset that you're in, you know, where like you're not trying to get hung up on all of these things and you know, you're just trying to move past things, because if you like get hung up on it in like a super negative light, like trauma is super relative, but it can like really it can really knock you down. And trauma is such a hard thing to like deal with and experience on a daily basis, and the more it stacks up so quick, you know,
right?
And it becomes super debilitating,
right? And then that's also how we form our patterns. Our different traumas, kind of how we deal with them the first few times, unless we consciously act against it. I feel like that's just how we react.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
That's also how you can study your own patterns and learn to stop reacting to things and responding instead of reacting.
For sure. Yeah. I definitely agree. I feel like when I was younger, I used to react like that, and I was always with the fire right away too.
Yeah.
You know, like I was just always down to like do whatever, even if I had to like throw hands or something. Too. Honestly, I didn't care. I was always a big dude, and I was not about to let somebody disrespect me. But as I've gotten older now, I'm just like I'm not going to react to somebody else's insecurities. You know, like if you're being insecure and you want to start all this shit, I'm just going to pretend you don't exist, because that's going to hurt you more than anything else. So
I was always the identified problem because I was always the one who reacted the loudest. So I could be getting poked and prodded at, or you know, like saying sneaky mean things or whatever, and hey, blah 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 blah, and like, hey, why, like, Kendall, you need a blah blah blah. So they literally called me K-Hulk. My family did.
Whoa, all right, dude, that's cool.
Just because I had an explosive temper as a kid.
I'm sure there's trauma related around that name, but that's a cool
and that's the thing.
Name.
Yeah, I like it was funny to them, right?
It
was never funny to me because I was like 9.
No, because you're in,
and it's like I learned it from watching you. What are you talking
That's
about?
exactly what it is too. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like it's funny to you, but I literally got it from you. Yeah. So
we literally it's those generational things, man. It's the repeating, you know, especially when you're super impressionable and you're a kid too. Like
so that there's like a dormant side of me that most people don't know about, just because people see like this sweet and I guess more mild person and personality, but I can tell you it can get like that real fast. Well, so I don't let it because I know how I can. You know.
Yeah, same. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's just like not worth it. You know,
at all.
You know what the come down is like too, the come down where you're like everything is just like flooding on you so quick, and you're just like really taking that time to, you know, relive what just happened, and you're like, holy shit, dude, I way over. Yeah, you know what I mean? And then like that shame.
You think about it for 3 days.
Yeah, and you're just like super ashamed, and then you'll think about it 20 years later, and the shame will hit you. You're like, fuck, dude, I shouldn't have did that. You know?
Yeah, you definitely get it.
Yep.
Because that's me. Every time I react in a way that my higher self is not proud of, like it definitely sticks with me for a while. So but we're all human. We can't be too hard on ourselves.
True.
All you can do is learn and grow.
For sure. Yeah, the growth is super important. You
exactly.
know? Reflection within the growth too.
Exactly.
But not to get hung up on like the points of shame too.
Right.
You know?
Right. And that's something that's hard as well, to be able to just kind of observe and reflect without absorbing the feelings, you know.
Yeah, and letting them like negatively, toxically affect you to the point where like it kind of becomes that, you know, that trauma loop or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't need that in our lives.
No,
right?
no, not at all.
So you said you just started the Dak Dubois thing 9 months ago. Has it changed your life at all? Or do you feel like it's just kind of, do you feel like people are just catching on to something that was already you?
Yeah, no, it's definitely what it is. I feel like it's you know, when you grow and you get older, you just become a lot more present and more like aware of who you are, you know, just kind of dialing it back to even that conversation too. And I think that reflection within your art is the same way. You know who you are as an artist. You know who you are as a person. So to like be able to find your kind of inner cadence is definitely like where I've been at. It's getting, I feel like art's getting easier and easier. Like I'm really getting to that point where I'm like, you know, I'm just able to put something out really quick and for it to sound to me, you know, like really good. And I could be a lot better at engineering and producing and or engineering side of things, but that's something that I've just been learning too. But yeah, just that like, you know, accepting who you are and what your inner cadence is trying to push you to do, you know, like I'm not trying to back myself off of whatever I'm creating. I'm just trying to kind of let it come as it goes and, you know, just feel for it. And even like the conversation that we were having before this started, where it was like, you know, we don't invent music. We just kind of discover it. It's like mathematics, you know, where like nobody invented mathematics. We just discovered it from seeing patterns constantly. And I think within music and within art, we have these inner cadences and like our inner monologue is kind of like snaked within that too. And to just like tap in and find out like where you are in almost like a different dimension is kind of like what happens with it. And, yeah,
no, I definitely agree with that.
So the music has kind of just been that. I haven't really been overthinking it at all or anything like that. But yeah, like getting, you know, finding a little bit of success here and there, like locally, has been really cool, and it, especially for only being here for a little bit too. Like I am really appreciative of that. It's cool to meet new people all the time too, and there's so many like good-hearted, genuine people out there that that's kind of what I'm into. I'm not trying to have any like surface level conversations or anything, you know, like
honestly it's draining.
Yeah,
it drains my energy to sit there
for sure. Small talk, dude.
I can't
no
do it.
No, I don't really care about small talk. I like getting to just, you know, talk with people about what they're passionate about and what I'm passionate about and spitball, you know.
Right. It's absolutely cool. Yeah, that's one of my favorite things to do, hence this.
Yeah, for sure, that makes sense. Yeah.
So where did you get the name Dak Dubois?
So my first name, like my government name is Dakota Wright. And Dakota is a Native American name. My dad doesn't really know what his lineage is because he's like the product of an affair. But he thinks it's Native American, which would make sense because he looks more Native than I do. I look very Nordic, you know. So I don't really want to like go by that name because it's kind of like appropriation. So I like Dak. It's short for it. You know, it's a 3-letter word. It's easy enough. And then the Dubois thing, I didn't want to go by like, you know, my last name because I don't have any blood relation to write. And I had some friends like die in the last few years from like mental health things and addiction and stuff like that. And I wanted to kind of homage them with it. And Dubois French, it means of wood. And I kind of see that in like the forest and everything is like a rebirth of like carbon atoms and you know, like carbon based life kind of finds its way to, you know, be born again. So I kind of wanted to, you know, emphasize that and you know, shout out to all my friends that you know, aren't here anymore because like, you know, they're people that I like wrote music with as a kid, like I hung out with, we had all of our life experiences together, you know. So it's kind of wild that like, you know, both of like my best friends just like, you know, aren't here anymore.
Aww.
So
yeah, I'm sure that's difficult.
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of people a lot of people experience stuff like that too. And you know, like, you know, it's hard to cope with sometimes, you know, especially like when it first occurred to it really got me, you know, like it was really hard to kind of cope with it. I feel like I was drinking a lot and kind of just like not being super good to myself. But yeah, I quit drinking like 4 months ago. It's been pretty cool to not drink. I feel way better. So, but yeah, you know, it's just kind of like breaking those generational curses too, and not finding yourself in the same pattern that you see others put themselves into. So,
right. I don't really talk about it often, but I had that struggle as well. In my early 20s. There's just a lot of death around me within my family and people I was close to, my aunt, and then just a lot of other traumatic situations that I didn't talk about for a very long time. And I did actually end up having like really bad mental health issues for a little bit, trying to, you know, drink it away. So people I feel like a lot are embarrassed to talk about that, but it's actually such a common struggle. And in the world that we live in today, like there's so much pressure and so many stresses on us. So like I feel like the more open we can be with these types of conversations, the more people will feel supported and less stigmatized with it,
Yeah, I agree for sure. Yeah, I think not being toxic about it, kind of all dials back to that for sure. But it's okay to like talk about these things and stuff. I wish I had a therapist, but I can't afford one. But I'd rather just talk to people about it and stuff. And same thing to other people too. Like I always tell my friends, like I'm always here for them and I'm gonna listen, because like it's important to listen to each other and to offer at least that kind of support, because I think a lot of people are in need of stuff like that constantly. Absolutely. And the resources are just crazy, like astronomically expensive. So
that's the saddest thing to me, the fact that people who so desperately need help, the closest thing that they have for relief is like that drug, that bottle, that whatever else that you're addicted to.
For sure.
And I feel like if there was more access to mental health for people, a more affordable access to it, then like I feel like addictions would be down as well,
For sure.
So there's a lot of things wrong with the system, but
I totally agree. I don't think the system is completely broken. But to the people who are on top, it's working exactly as it's intended. And that's shitty. It is. That's super shitty. I don't really know what we can do. We could easily be living in a utopia. We have everything at our fingertips. We have everything in our hands to do so. But it's not what billionaires want.
Right.
So
exactly. I just had this conversation with someone at work yesterday about how like the top 100 families control majority of the wealth in the country, and how the rest of us are kind of just left to fend for ourselves. And what else were we saying? We were saying about how we could all easily live off of I don't know, like let's say give us like $100,000 a month somehow. I don't know. I forgot what he was saying, but yeah, you get the gist.
Yeah.
So yeah, the world could definitely be better. And also we were talking about how a lot of us have similar mindsets, but I feel like we're taught that we're all just so different, and that like I feel like we have a lot more to agree on than we have to separate us, but we're kind of kept separate as well.
Yeah. That's why I'm super pro union.
Yeah.
Just in general.
Yesterday too.
Just in general, because it's like, like what do we really have independently as one person? Like our say is nothing, but if everybody all together is able to work together and communicate, and not only that, but organize, right?
Exactly.
Because like organizing in any kind of way, whether it be like, oh, we're musicians, we're going to organize and we're going to like, unionize together to work on that. Or it's like, at your workplace or whatever too.
Yeah.
It's super important to, who's really making everything, right? It's us, you know what I mean? We're just kind of getting ripped off in the process of it, because we've been told forever, in these generational curses that come back up too, that you just got to keep doing it, you got to work hard and work hard. And it's like, working hard will get you money, I guess, if you like only work. But a lot of these things on like that we're all trying to buy into are just like lottery things. You know what I mean? It's like buying a lottery ticket on a lot of these different things. And even if you do work really hard, it's still like your chances of success are only equated to like you polling the right numbers, even though you keep buying lottery tickets or whatever. In theory, it's like doesn't mean you're gonna win it. You can keep working as hard as you want. It's like impossible to find yourself in a spot where you can afford things. It's crazy. So
what a world.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, not trying to get too dark or anything.
No, it's okay, because I can definitely go down that rabbit hole. But I'm not going to take you down that.
No. Sorry.
It's not you, because I actually enjoy having these conversations, and I'm happy that you feel comfortable enough to say that on the air. Like,
of course. Yeah.
So I always say I don't police when it comes to what people say on here. I just really want it to be a safe space. Come here and say what's on your mind, what's on your heart.
Oh yeah.
So
what's up.
what do you usually make music about? What do you usually write about?
It kind of depends. I feel like a lot of the times I'll kind of, from a songwriting perspective of just like lyrics and like the reflection on that, I think I am writing about just past relationships, honestly, like whether it be, you know, toxic ones or happy ones or healthy ones. But I feel like when you have, you know, we all connect with so many people in so many different ways, and you know, just finding that moment that you're talking about, whether it be like the point of heartbreak or the point of pushing things off and now this relationship is getting weird, or you know, just the point of abandonment or whatever it might be, just whatever things I've kind of experienced, and yeah, channeling them in that moment as I'm like working on stuff too. You know, sometimes I don't really know what I'm going to be tapping into. I'll kind of start with an instrumental first, and then once I get to that point, I'm thinking melody and, you know, how I want the cadence to go, and then I kind of just tap in and try to figure out lyrics. So
okay.
Yeah.
So you're a melody before lyrics guy.
For sure, yeah.
Okay,
and there's like two different kinds of listeners too. There's
Uh-huh.
like people who listen into the lyrics like exclusively, or there's people who listen to the music exclusively.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm definitely music first, but like I said, I mean, I do love poetry and
Mhm.
like, you know, wordplay and all of that, and just kind of telling stories in general. So
Right. I feel like the human ear is just kind of trained to hear what sounds good at first, and then later when you listen to the lyrics is when it like hits you and like, oh, that is actually really relatable.
for sure.
So
Yeah, and I think like associating moments of build up within just where the dynamics are changing, as far as like, you know, having your things kind of mirror each other too, not necessarily like mirroring hooks or anything like that, but just kind of mirroring, you know, the intention behind what you're trying to get across in the song. So
yeah, I love that as well. And it is an art to conveying the feeling and the thoughts in a poetic way that also sounds good.
Yeah,
You know,
for sure. Yeah,
it's definitely an art to it.
yeah. And yeah, every genre does it too.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
And that's kind of what you're listening for, you know. That's why there's so many different feels. There's so many different moods that can kind of be associated within any music. So
Exactly.
yeah.
I feel like we get so caught up in genres that we forget that most music is just about our common human experience.
Hell yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So you can probably find something relatable in almost any genre if you are willing to open up your mind a little and listen to other things.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I don't really. Yeah, there's only a couple of genres I don't really mess with, and one's like metal.
Okay.
I like the guitar is like crazy. I get that, but I just don't know. I'm not really a big metal guy.
Yeah.
And then like pop country, I don't like pop country.
Is it like cheesy to you? Or?
Yeah, like post 9/11 pop country, like from that moment on, and then like it goes through like the era of bro country too. It's just it's lame, dude. It's corny. It's
Country
so corny.
Girl, shake it for me.
Yeah, I mean, like pretty much anything you'll hear at a wedding in Green Bay. You know, I don't know, I'm cool on that, man.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's actually funny you said that. I've been to my fair share of Green Bay weddings.
Yeah, and Country Girl Shaking for Me always plays.
Oh yeah,
Ride
there's
a
always
horse ride.
that.
Yeah,
Little bit of what is it? Forever by Chris Brown used to be one of them for some reason.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, there's some staples. So if you could work with any 5 artists, I'm probably going to say living or dead, who would they be?
Oh man,
Bands
Living or
included,
Dead is
of course.
crazy. Yeah, bands for sure. I'd probably oh man, I'd want to work with Led Zeppelin. I feel like if I'm gonna pick one rock band, it'd probably be Led Zeppelin. They're crazy. Like they just their stuff is just insane. They have so much energy, and their dynamics that they can change between up and down, and a lot of like sultry kind of blues sounds too. Oh man, like as far as rock goes, that's probably where I'd want to collaborate with for sure. Jimi Hendrix is my favorite guitarist of all time. He has been since I was like 11 years old. He was the reason that I wanted to start playing guitar. I'd like never heard Jimi Hendrix, and I was 11 years old. I had an iPod and I didn't know how to upload music on it. So I gave it to one of my friends, and he put like all of this Jimi Hendrix and like all sorts of like 70s rock on there, 60s rock. And it just blew my mind, man. That him and like Pink Floyd, like those two bands really like got to me. And Hendrix is still my favorite guitarist of all. He's the GOAT, you know, like he changed everything. He changed every genre of music. We wouldn't have like 70s soul and funk being the way it was if it wasn't for him.
Right.
Because he started his career before he even went to like London to before he went to London to kind of become who he was as like a big pop artist, he played behind Little Richard and the Isley Brothers. So he was like a lot of like the reason behind where their music had changed. And then not to mention what he did to pop music, what he did to rock, what he did to even jazz too. Like Miles Davis and like Bitches Brew, that was actually supposed to be an album with Hendrix.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he died. Yeah, Hendrix died. And they had started talking about it. They didn't really get a chance to get together in the studio because it's like 2 weeks later that Hendrix died. But yeah, it was supposed to be Hendrix and Miles Davis together on an album. And then once Hendrix died, Miles Davis is like, well, I still kind of want to go this approach. Bitches Brew, which is crazy. But he changed the game the most. I feel like just kind of getting to work with him would have been insane because he's just melodically insane. Like his lyricism is straight up poetry too. And he's just so silky smooth. And then, so I think if I'm going to pick like 2 older bands, those are like the bands I'd probably pick for sure. If I'm doing like new artists, man, I'd really like to work with like Tom Misch and like Yusuf Days. Like that's crazy. I love like the crazy psych kind of genreless, like neo soul element. That's like fusion based too, that they're doing. I really like, I don't know. I really like a lot of different cats out of Montreal right now, like Home Shake, Mac DeMarco for sure too. Like I feel like that kind of scratches like my indie rock scratch, you know, where it's a lot of like, you know, it's really like soulful music too, and a lot of the just a lot of like the rhythm section stuff is so sticky and like tasty, and it's simple but it sounds amazing. And then oh man, if I gotta pick one more artist, oh man, probably like Kendrick Lamar, honestly. I feel like getting to produce something crazy for him, like To Pimp a Butterfly is like my, I know it's a hot take, but it's like my favorite hip hop album.
It is a hot take
in the last decade. Yeah, I just love some like Thundercats on it. You have a bunch of work with like George Clinton from Parliament Funkadelic on there too. It's just it's super jazz and funk oriented, and I love jazz and funk so much. Like it's definitely like what sticks out to me the most in music, like that kind of subgenre or that like giant block, I guess, of music is really what, you know, what I'm into. Yeah, those would be like the 5 I guess I'd work with for sure. Yeah.
Kendrick would be a really dope one. I could see like shredding in the back of his vocals.
I would just want to put together some really good and like some really good like rhythms and stuff, like as far as like, you know, working on the kit kind of being more in the pocket and stuff. Like he's essentially a percussionist as far as like what he does with vocals and stuff too, you know, like that's why I like To Pimp a Butterfly so much, just like how crazy and out of his element, or like out of the element of like hip hop he's getting on like his wordplay, and how he's deciding to emphasize it on the ands, and it's crazy. The feel on it is insane.
Yeah, Kendrick is definitely a musical genius.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Yeah,
I love when people can bend and mix genres and make it sound like something brand new and just like, you know, something that moves you.
Yeah. I remember listening to Section 80 when I was in high school.
Okay.
And I was like, and I mean, we're 30, right? So like, obviously this was, you know, I would have been
2011, 2012.
Yeah. I would have been, I think I was like a junior in high school, maybe at the time, the first time I heard it. And I was like, whoa, what the fuck? This is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, the storytelling, just everything on how he's able to influence it. And I really liked like, Nas Illmatic, you know, and like the storytelling on that, where it comes from a lot of different perspectives and stuff. And then hearing Section 80, it was almost like a repeat to a Nas album, you know, just from like the content perspective, you know? But then kind of just like the new take on hip hop and everything. I was a huge TDE fan when they first started.
Oh, were you?
Coming out for sure. Yeah. Even like Isaiah Rashad later, a couple years later. I fucking loved Isaiah Rashad.
I loved Isaiah Rashad as well. Yeah.
I thought, I mean, I knew Kendrick was going to be like the biggest out of there, but I thought the second biggest was going to be J-Rock, you know? I really was like convinced. I was like, no, J-Rock
fell off.
He did. Yeah. It's because he didn't keep putting stuff out. He like, you know, he kept saying too, he's like waiting for Dr. Dre to release his album before he released anything. And then Dre did release Detox or whatever. And no, it's not that great. In my opinion. I'm not crazy about it. And I love.
When did he release that? Did I even listen to it?
Yeah, it would have been like, I think it was like 2015, 2016.
I don't even know if I listened to it.
Yeah.
Yikes.
It's not crazy or anything.
No, I have to.
But I love the Chronic. The Chronic is what got me into like 70s soul and funk music in general, because that was my introduction to it. Yeah, because he uses so many samples from like George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic and a lot of those like Curtis Mayfield, stuff like that, of that like kind of 70s post Motown era of soul and stuff. And that, I'd never heard that growing up or anything like that. So when I kind of started digging into like the Chronic when I was like 15, I was like, whoa.
You had your mind blown.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I was smoking weed at the time too. So I was like, you're
like, wow.
Yeah.
I remember the feeling of the first time hearing like just something brand new and different. It's like orgasmic. It's an eargasm.
For sure.
Like, that's you're like, wow, I'm mind blown.
Because you're like the same age as me too.
Yeah.
Right? Do you remember when like Kid Cudi first released Man on the Moon?
Yes, and that was one of those.
Yeah, as being like a little stoner kid for me too. It was just mind blowing. You know,
I wasn't a stoner because I wasn't allowed to be, but I was definitely one of those like little weird off to the side, not involved with everybody else kids who just wanted to.
No, I feel that.
Yeah, I was always listening to music.
Hell yeah. I feel that. I'm curious at what point in time is like that style from that era going to start coming back around, you know, because we're kind of in like this early Y2K for like lot of the Zoomers and stuff, the Gen Z kids that are wearing like kind of dressing up and stuff. And it's crazy to see the Y2K stuff because, you know, I like remember it. I feel like
it is, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's cool. I guess I kind of get it. I don't know if I'm like ready for cargo pants again, though. I feel like we just got cargo pants out of here. Like, we can't be bringing them back, you know? But I see them, man. I've been seeing them. And, but at what point is like that 2008 fashion going to start coming back in, you know? Like the shutter shades and everything, too.
I give it another 5 to 7 years.
Maybe, unless things keep going faster.
That's true. Because time definitely has sped up.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, yeah, no, I agree for sure.
Yeah, that's a whole another thing as well.
Another
rabbit hole I can get into.
I see a lot of TikToks on that too. No.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, oh man, like I'm always like trying to be super hyper aware too. I'm like, oh, am I just being like in my own realm? Am I not seeing it from the outside perspective? But I feel like that's time is definitely going
I do
faster.
That as well. Yeah. I'm like, is it just me? But no, time literally is just like.
Yeah.
And then even the amount of world changing events that we keep having on top of each other, I feel like kind of makes time feel, I don't know, more concentrated almost. Because in the past, you've heard about these things like a lot further between.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's also just because we have media now that we can communicate with other sides of the world and see what's going on, or
history being whitewashed too.
Exactly.
I think that might also have something to do with it.
Yeah, and you can't do that now that there's people literally recording it in front
I
of
know,
our
it's
eyes,
crazy. Yeah.
So.
No, it's definitely crazy. I feel like as far as like keeping historical record, we're definitely like in our bag, you know, we're in our best spot for that right now.
Definitely.
So
Yeah.
And it's crazy to see, you know, just like world changing events all the way around. I mean, you could pull up your phone at any point and just get like sucked into it. And it's crazy. It's sad too, but
it is.
But like to be aware of everything that's going on around you, I think is better than to not be aware.
I agree.
You know, because I think that's what makes us. It's what forces us to empathize with each other, you know, and have this like collective psyche essentially.
Right. Exactly.
For sure. But I think that kind of speeds up the time too. I think because now everybody's on the same page, or for the most part.
Polarized. I feel like there's a lot of people on the same page about one thing and a lot of people on the same page about another, but they're very much like bumping heads.
Yeah. Well, it's that parody. But I think what the real parody is just like, it's like, I mean, the red pill, blue pill, of course, but it's like the red pill is, it's pretty pro-government, you know?
Yeah.
They say it's anti-government, but it's pro-government,
yeah.
You know? And you feel that for sure. And then the blue pill is like pro-people, you know? And it's like, what do you want to be for? Billionaires or people, you know?
Do you feel like we'll see some type of like big social changes within our time? Do you feel like we'll organize in time before you and I are like in nursing homes?
Yeah. That's a great question. I don't know, man. I mean, like, we should, but it's gonna fuck everything up. You know what I mean? Like, everything is gonna get fucked up.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. There's gonna be wars, civil wars, probably.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. I mean, you can kind of see it brewing with Texas right now too, on their whole like the Supreme Court ruled that having these like the barbed wire on the fence, which just like ends up killing immigrants because they get stuck in it.
Right.
Like they can't have that. And then the Texas governor, he's just like, well, Greg Abbott, he's just like, oh, we're not going to listen to you guys anyways. And it's like, fuck, you really want to fuck around with the federal government, dude? But like,
leave it to Texas.
Oh, of course, Texas. You gotta be independent, right? Wow, yeah, you're so free of mind and thought. But I don't know. I mean, I think it's inevitable. At some point in time, and it's crazy too. But yeah, who knows?
Who knows if it'll be soon enough for us to see it, I should say, in our lifetime.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're seeing it slowly too.
We are
now, especially with like just a lot of outrage over like Israel and Palestine too. I think that's such a, to magnify that situation is really important, because I think we should all be seeing the fucking crazy genocides around the world, and all it is just like billionaires these people with all this money want to go into these places that are like not first world nations. That's what I'm gonna use that, but it's people of color essentially.
Yeah,
they want to steal all of their things and then make them as the slaves essentially to pull it all out. And I mean, this has happened over time forever, but like for us to be like hyper aware of it and see it, and you got to want to do something, change. Yeah. And even with our country too. I mean, the USA is fucking crazy with everything they're doing. So yeah.
And then still keeping people delusional in their, like, letting them think they're safe and that the government has their best interest in all that.
For sure. Yeah. You find your talking points too. And, you find your buzzwords and you just keep throwing buzzwords out at people. And that's what the news does too. It's crazy, which, I mean, especially being our age too, like, I mean, are we just watching the news? No, but like all these boomers and stuff are everywhere. And like, they're just getting spoon fed a bunch of crap every night and they like live for it. And it's crazy. It's crazy. There's like no awareness around what they're seeing at all. And it's just like, because that's where they get the news from. That's the news, and
yeah, that's definitely a generational change as well.
For sure. Well, I think like our take on media too, like where we're getting our media from, it's great to have that ability, but it can also be scary too. Like a lot of different people are getting pipelined by like this crazy right-wing crazy militia shit too. It's just like a lot of these dudes, especially like fucking weird loner like white dudes too, like they all like go follow these like workout videos or whatever and they're like, oh yeah, like all that matters is getting swole, and then they just get pipelined hard. They're like, oh, women will never love me, and all this other crazy shit. It's crazy to see. Yeah, sometimes I dig in on the internet and I dig in a little too far and I'm like, what the fuck is happening to these people, like it's crazy. So but yeah.
Okay, we're going to start wrapping up soon, but first I wanted to ask you about your daily jams that you do.
Oh, the daily jams.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. So I try to like wake up every morning. So I'm a full-time artist. This is like what
you are?
Yeah. So,
good for you.
I don't make shit for money, but yeah, it's great. No, it feels satisfying. But yeah, so I wake up every morning and like just to kind of keep myself and my skills like moving forward and stuff and really tapping in with it. I usually try to record something every day. Sometimes I end up making a video out of it. I always put them on like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, kind of all of that. Just like short form content. I'm just trying to get something figured out in like a minute and a half and kind of present, just like a new groove that I'm getting down on, like a daily jam kind of thing, and it's usually just whatever I'm feeling that morning. Sometimes like I usually start my day by making coffee. I put headphones on right away and I just kind of start listening to whatever music I'm feeling that day. And sometimes it's like neo soul, sometimes it's like old school rock or old school soul music or whatever. And then it always ends up influencing because like, our brains are sponges and we pick up so much, it always ends up affecting whatever I'm doing that day. And it's kind of interesting for me to see that. I don't want to like get long-winded when I'm talking about these daily jams at all and like these and these pieces of content. I don't want to like give anybody too much. I just don't want to give people a bunch of stuff to read. I just want people to interact with the music, and if they like it, they like it,
Yeah, I like that.
For sure.
And I definitely feel like it probably helps keep your skills sharp.
For sure, yeah.
So, yeah.
But that's the thing too, if you keep using a knife, you got to sharpen it every now and then.
Exactly.
And yeah. But if you have a cutting board that sharpens your knife every time, it's like the best way to go. You don't have to keep sharpening your knife. So.
Exactly.
But yeah, just kind of, I'm in the midst of like wrapping up this second MKE project right now too, with some really cool features on it. Like Aya's on it again. I have Wave Chappelle on it. Emmett James is on it. Emmett James is dope.
Yeah, he is.
Brother Malik is on it as well. Then I have one more artist on it, but I'm not going to talk about it yet because it's a big artist.
Oh,
it's a really big artist from the city. So
nice.
I'm excited for that to come out, and yeah, it's gonna be sick. So and then immediately after that, I'm gonna start just dropping a song every 2 weeks after that's out. Because I have like 10 songs done for my second album right now. And my goal is to just like release a song every 2 weeks for like 6, 7, 8 months. I don't know.
Okay.
Just kind of keep that momentum going and stuff. I kind of saw it as I was like releasing every like week or two leading into that first MKE project, like how, to kind of play into the algorithm and stuff. So I'm just gonna try to, do the whole algorithm thing, as cringy as it is.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. It's so, we hate doing it, but we have to at this point,
for
if
sure.
you want to see growth, you gotta do it.
Totally. Yeah.
So okay, so can you tell everybody the name of your current project that's out before we wrap up? So it's look for.
Yeah, it's Dak Dubois is like my artist name, and it's MKE project. I won't say volume 1 or anything because it's just the first one. I don't need to get crazy on that. But yeah, it's out on every streaming platforms too. You should definitely check it out. It's got a really cool kind of blend between different, like funk, soul, like neo soul, indie rock, kind of West Coast indie, like surfy sounds.
Yeah,
and then yeah, it's just a lot of different kind of genres blended in together. Yeah, I didn't really know what I was doing with it, but that's kind of what I do with all the music. But it's
fun.
It's cool. Yeah, it's some really cool features on there too, like classic Wave Chappelle, Aya, another like not really super well-known artist named KCU who has like this insane voice, just like ready to go. First take, like one take wonder every time too.
Really?
Yeah, just super talented. Yeah, Casey's crazy. So
okay, did she perform with you on that one show at
Linneman's? For sure.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Casey's
she was
insanely
nice.
talented. Yeah, for sure.
So MKE project by Dak Dubois.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
Check it out, everyone.
Hell yeah.
Do you have any closing comments or questions?
Oh no, I do have this. March 30th at the Cooperage, we're doing the show for the Volume 2 release. So we'll do a bunch of the features for that. Pretty much the same thing as we did with the other one, but just at the Cooperage. It's a great venue, and they're awesome at handling artists there too. So I really want to sell it out. It's 350 tickets. Okay. I don't know if that's possible, but that's my goal. So yeah, and then we're gonna have a few other artists that me and my band are supporting too. It's great to like support and have live bands for artists that don't necessarily usually have it. So it's just a really cool way to see some of the artists, some of the like the coolest artists in the city. With a really good band. So yeah,
I love that. Absolutely.
For sure.
All right, everybody. Dak Dubois, thank you so much for being here. It's been great talking to you, getting to know you a little bit, getting to know like your mindsets, your background. Yeah, so we'll definitely stay tapped in.
Cool.
So
sweet. Yeah, thanks for having me too.
Of course. And thanks everyone for listening. This has been KB's Community.